up, intuitive healers? How's everybody doing? Today, I am doing an astrology chart reading of Cardi B and Stefon Diggs. Before I get into the actual astrological placements, I want to talk about the history of their love. So I'm going to break this into two parts. So in part one, I'll be talking about how Cardi B and Stefon met, how long they've been dating, where is the status of the relationship as of today. And then in part two, I will actually be doing a chart analysis of their love story. Thank you, Rochelle, for the likes. You guys that are here to hang out for the Cardi B and Stefon Diggs astrology love story. If you wouldn't mind going ahead and liking the live, helping Rochelle out to get the likes up, I would really appreciate it. So my research online, this is what I learned because I don't know a lot about their history. I had to do a little bit of digging. So Cardi B was married to rapper Offset. We all know about this. They share 3 kids together. Culture, which is her first child, a girl. Wave, a boy. And Blossom, a girl. Cardi B just celebrated a birthday for her daughter Blossom. I do want to mention something about Virgo. Because I'm an astrologer, whenever I'm talking about these things, my brain easily makes a lot of connections. Also, because I'm neurodivergent, my brain expands in various directions. So let me share a tidbit with you that I thought was interesting. Virgo in astrology rules health and wellness and healing. Usually when a Virgo child is given to a family, it's because there's some deep-seated physical or emotional health issues in that family that God is trying to break through, that, you know, the universe is trying to heal. So when a Virgo child comes into a toxic dynamic, the family naturally starts to malfunction because that Virgo child brings with them energy that promotes healing and functioning and health and wellness. And I find it very interesting that Blossom came when Cardi B was recognizing that this relationship, this marriage with Offset was not going to work. So when God finally gave Cardi B a Virgo, Blossom, that Blossom baby girl, is when the marriage literally fell apart. And this is why Virgos struggle, because a lot of them are given to families that are unhealthy, but that don't want to heal. Even though Virgo came here to really heal themselves, they don't often get a blueprint of what that looks like, okay? So anyways, Cardi B did the right thing by divorcing Offset. She filed for divorce July of 2024. Now, Stefon Diggs, he's an NFL player. He's a wide receiver. He also has a child from a previous relationship, and her name is Nova. What a beautiful name. So that is the history between these two. Rumors started floating around that Cardi B and Stefon Diggs were together around October of last year. That's when we heard about it. So she filed for divorce July of 2024. Around October 2024, we started hearing that she was dating Stefon Diggs. Valentine's Day 2025, fast forward to this year, they were seen arriving together at the same hotel in Miami, which basically started the rumors again that the two of them were a couple. Then the public appearances started. I guess I decided to really make it official. So May 2025, they made a more definitive appearance together. They were courtside at a Knicks game, Knicks versus Celtics. It was a playoff game, and they arrived at that basketball game holding hands, clearly indicating to everybody, thanks everybody for all the love and all the comments you're putting in there. Hi, thank you for... someone said, hi, beautiful soul. May your day be as beautiful as you. Thank you so much. You're a beautiful soul as well. May your day be as beautiful as you. I appreciate it. So if you guys wouldn't mind liking the live, tapping on the screen, I would appreciate it. TikTok does this thing where when the screen is inactive for a while, they're basically like kick you off. And you have like to quickly respond if you don't want to be kicked off because they think nobody's here and you're like turning it on, but nobody's here. So thank you for doing that. So they arrived together at the Knicks game holding hands, and then around May or June of 2025, there were more signs. You know how Cardi B is on social media. When she's in love or she loves somebody, she's gonna post them. You know, she's a Libra. Libras like to be in the mix. Libras like to communicate. Libras like to be open about what they love, who they love. Libras are the lovers of the Zodiac. So when a Libra is catching feelings about somebody, they can't keep it private. They can't keep it quiet. I mean, if you ask them to, they'll try their best. But it's not in their nature. Their nature is to be open about their love. Libra and Leo, they both share this in common. When these two zodiac signs are in love, they want everybody and their mama to know about it, because they don't feel good until everybody knows. It's important to them that they have an audience to their love. That makes it even more fulfilling for them, okay? So, social media activity, they started sharing posts, they started sharing trips together. We've all seen the video of Cardi B being on the yacht with him. They posted affectionate photos with each other. Cardi basically made the relationship Instagram official in June of 2025. So June, this summer, is when we started seeing more of them. Fast forward to July of 2025, rumors started that they broke up because Cardi B started deleting photos of Stefon from her Instagram. And people were like, well, why would she be deleting photos of him if they're together? That wouldn't make sense. Because, again, Cardi likes to post the people that she loves. So if you were posting him and now you're deleting him, it has to be because something happened, right? So people started speculating that Cardi and Stefon had broken up around the time that she was deleting his pictures, okay? Now, another thing happened around that same time that made people really start thinking that maybe this was a fling and it was over. You guys know Cardi B is a fashion girly. You may or may not know this. I'm really into fashion. I'm a big fashion head. And I know this about her. I think Cardi just has natural gifts about fashion. So the fashion industry has welcomed her into the fold because of her fashion, her eye for fashion. Fashion is very special because it brings joy to life. Fashion is all about making the world more beautiful. When you get dressed, you're not just picking clothes, you're picking a vibe, you're picking an energy, and you understand that colors, patterns, shapes, all of that really creates like an energy, a vibration. Cardi's a very beautiful girl and she really likes to look good. So naturally fashion comes to her easily. So from the beginning of her career, fashion houses were very open to her, even though her body isn't the typical body that fashion houses like to dress. She's kind of short and she's a little she's petite and a little round. It's not like she's like model-esque in her appearance. But I think because Cardi loves hard, like she loves beauty, she loves fashion, she loves makeup, they work with her. They've had very high profile fashion houses dress her up for a red carpet. For somebody that is just like not as advanced in their career as other people, I think there's something about Cardi that the fashion industry immediately embraced that other people would have had to work twice as hard to get to, is what I'm trying to say. I remember when Beyonce first came on the scene, even though she was very famous, fashion houses were refusing to dress Beyonce because she was considered too curvy. They thought she was overweight. They thought she was unattractive. And Cardi is not only curvy, but she's curvy and short. And they're loving her. So I say all of that to say that I think a lot of your zodiac sign has an impact on other people. Cardi B being a Libra ruling beauty, aesthetics, fashion, serving looks, serving outfits, works in her favor. So when Cardi B, when Fashion Week is going on in Paris or New York, Cardi B always gets invited. Let's get that out of the gate. Let's be clear about that. People want Cardi B. Fashion houses want Cardi B because she brings the drama, she brings the beauty, she brings the flair, she brings the humor, she brings love, she brings life, she brings energy to everything that she does. Somebody said she is the it girl. Absolutely is the it girl, in my opinion. I've done videos about Cardi's fashion choices on the red carpet. She is so smart with the fashion choices that she makes. I love that she is often underestimated. I think that's a superpower. People assume that she doesn't know anything because of her accent, because she's from the Bronx, because of the way she speaks. And she always blows you away in how she's able to put things together. And when I think about the fact that so many fashion houses have had to dress her when she's pregnant, which is everybody's nightmare in the world of fashion, because when you make an outfit, you measure the body and you make it. But obviously when a woman is pregnant, a couple weeks from now, that belly is going to look different, that body is going to look different. You don't know if it's going to be too big, too small. You got to go back and try to fix it. You don't know if you're going to add too much material, too little, what kind of, it's a lot. but they don't mind doing that for her. That's how much she's beloved. You know, like, because Cardi stays pregnant and she stays showing up at Fashion Week and she stays looking good. Like, she makes pregnancy look glorious. She makes pregnancy look glorious. And fashion houses have embraced that, when historically they've been very judgmental of women being a certain weight, women being a certain look, women not being like a size 0, you know. But when Cardi B comes around, all those rules get thrown to the side so that Cardi can be the moment. And if you don't believe me, just go on YouTube when we're done and look up Cardi's red carpet moments. She eats every single time. There is not a look that Cardi has ever worn that you were like, no. She knows what she's doing. She knows how to choose what works for her, and she doesn't miss. And then know that people who have an eye for fashion, then know people who have an eye for fashion, because they make distinctive choices that show that they're consciously choosing what works for them. And that's a kind of association you want to have with a brand, like somebody that's going to elevate you. And Cardi B does just that. So when she showed up to Paris Fashion Week without Stefon, even though they've been dating for people, that was kind of like the confirmation that they really broke up. Because Cardi has attended Fashion Week with, you know, Offset before. Typically when she goes to Fashion Week, she has her man with her. So her going to Paris Fashion Week solo, you know, July 2025, when she has a man, was kind of like, are they still together? And this came after she deleted the pictures, so people were definitely like ready to bury the relationship. So July 2025, right? Let's fast forward to September 2025, this month. September 17th, 2025, Cardi B publicly confirmed that she's pregnant with her 4th child. And this is her first child with Stefon Diggs, and he surprised her at her album release party. She's also in the middle of an album rollout, which, you know, the album is fire, and I'm so proud of her. I really admire women that are strong-minded, women that work hard. Like, Cardi keeps having babies, keeps touring, keeps making music. She's just always working, you know? Like, she doesn't let her pregnancy or her decisions on what she wants to do with her life keep her from the things she wants to accomplish in this life. And considering she started as a girl on the pole in a strip joint in New York, I think it's quite impressive how she managed to dig herself out of that hole to this place where she's at right now. So as far as their relationship, Cardi B has described Stefon as being someone that makes her feel safe, someone that makes her feel confident, someone that makes her feel strong. She stated that their relationship started around October of 2024, and it's grown into something much more serious. Obviously, now they're having a child together, so it's going to be much more long-standing. Now, a little bit of mess with this, okay, because life is not perfect. There's always a little bit of mess. That's why I'm always wary of people whose lives look perfect, because the more perfect their life look, I promise you, the crazier it is, okay? Take this from me, someone that used to work as a therapist and who worked in mental health for 20 years, okay? The more put together a person looks, the more mentally insane they are. I need you to know that. The people that look messy and that are wild and you're just like, oh my God, this is so crazy, those are the real people. The people that look like they have no flaws and everything looks perfect, those are the people pretending to be what they're not. And that's part of what I love about Cardi B, is because she is herself. You may not like it, you may not agree with it, you may be disgusted, you may judge it, whatever. You have feelings, and that's fine. Everybody is allowed to have their feelings. But you know what? She is what she is, and she's not going to be something else because you don't like it, because that's a you issue. You don't have to like it, but she has the right to exist the way I exist, the way you exist, the way we all exist. Real people, healthy people, they are comfortable being themselves. They are comfortable owning themselves, good or bad. But people that are fake, they're put on an image, and they want you to buy into the image. They want you to believe that the image is what's real and everything else is not real, when in reality all of us are messy. There is no perfect life. There is no perfect story that doesn't have some drama, some mess. Someone said I look so pretty like a doll. Oh, you're so sweet. Thank you so much. You're very sweet. Thank you, Nikita. All right, so let's get into the mess. I don't really like the mess, but we got to talk about it. So the mess is, shortly after Cardi B let out that she was pregnant with Stefon Diggs, sources confirm that Stefon Diggs currently has an ongoing paternity suit where a model named Eileen Lopera, known as Lord Giselle, claims that Stefon Diggs fathered her daughter. Okay? Her daughter was born April 2025 of this year. Since then, Stefon Diggs has requested a DNA test. So that is still ongoing. So there's a baby that Stefon Diggs has already claimed, named Nova. And there is a second daughter that was born April of this year that a model is claiming he's the father. So they're going through the courts to verify that he's truly the father. You guys may have or may not have seen it. Cardi B made a video where she was like putting cheese on the casserole, and she was just kind of joking about the fact that, girl, if he's really the father of your child, then we're gonna have to figure it out. Like, I don't know, like what do you want me to say? It is what it is. And you know, if this baby was born in April, that means that possibly around the time that they took a break is when that baby got conceived, right? Because they took a break around that summertime, right? So that would make sense, right? And then they got back together and now she's pregnant. So we'll just have to wait and see. Either way, I don't think that's the end of the world. Like, things happen, life happens. When you break up with somebody and you hook up with somebody else, you're not trying to get pregnant, but God allows things to happen for a reason. You know, it became a pregnancy that was viable and a little person came out of that. If that's his daughter, he's gonna take care of his daughter. Like, what is his net worth? Let me find out. 1 second. According to Google, Stefon Diggs' net worth is approximately $60 million. I think he can afford to take care of 2 little girls on $60 million. What do you think? And what's Cardi B's net worth? Let's find out. Again, this is Google. We don't know for a fact, but this is what Google is estimating. According to Google, Cardi B's net worth is $101.6 million. Okay. So she is worth 101. She's worth 101 million? Wow, I did not know Cardi B was worth 101. I didn't know she was worth millions, like those types of millions. Now, I want to go back to his because 60 million seems a little low. So let me read this. It says, over the course of his career with the Minnesota Vikings, Buffalo Bills, and New England Patriots, Diggs has accumulated over 155 million in total NFL earnings. In March 2025, Diggs signed a 3-year deal with the New England Patriots worth up to 69 million with incentives. Okay, with incentives is the key factor here. The deal included a 12 million sign-in bonus and a 22.6 million in guaranteed money. Diggs has earned an estimated 2.5 million annually from endorsements with brands such as Nike, Verizon, and Jordan. His portfolio also includes investments in companies like Dapper Lab and Mad Rabbit, as well as his own food brand. So Diggs is probably worth more than 60 million is what I'm getting at. I just didn't think that 60 million just seems small, but that's what they're accounting for right now. I have a feeling that it's much more than that because with incentives doesn't tell me what the other sum of the money are. But either way, Cardi by herself being worth, over 100 million, clearly she can afford to take care of this baby. And 2 girls is not a lot for him to be unable to manage. So if that is his child, I think he's going to be taking care of it the same way he's taking care of the other one, Nova. So that's pretty much it. Now, let's talk about some key takeaway about their relationships before we get into their synastry. Someone is asking about their synastry in astrology. Oh, we'll get to that later. So the first part of this is just talking about their relationship. Let's see. All right. Now, if you guys wouldn't mind tapping on the screen for me, I would appreciate it. Now, let's talk about potential issues with the relationship in terms of, looking at this through relationship lenses. So Cardi B's life has been going through a lot of trauma, right? She went from being a stripper to rapping to blowing up as a rapper. Shortly after blowing up, getting impregnated by you know who. And then after that, it's just been a whirlwind of relationship chaos and drama and abuse and violations, one after the other. And then eventually she divorced him July of last year, summer of last year. She's still not officially divorced though, but that's when she filed for divorce. From what I understood, he was trying to get at some of her money. Now I know why he's trying to get at some of her money, because she's obviously worth, over 100,000, over 100 million. Of course he wants some of her money. Let's find out how much Offset is worth. Let's see where this is coming from. So according to Google, Offset net worth is 40 million. 40 million is Offset. 40 million. And Cardi B is 101.6 million. So allegedly, all this is alleged, that he's trying to get some of her money, which may explain why they're having a hard time finalizing the divorce. Whoop-de-doo, whatever. Hopefully they'll get that figured out so she can actually be officially divorced, because she filed for divorce last summer. There's no reason why that she still be legally married at this point, especially if it's not about money. You know what I mean? Like at this point, they just need to figure out their money and their visitation or custody agreement with their kids. That's all that's left. So putting that through the lens of like a human life, when you go through a divorce, it's a very difficult process. Even when you want out of the relationship, like it's still, you guys heard her interview with when she was talking to Kelly Rowland. And as far as going through the divorce, like there's a lot of grief associated with divorce. It's like a death. It's like somebody died because the person that you knew is no longer there. They're still alive, but they're not relating to you in the same way. So going through a divorce and then having that new baby, Blossom, her last baby, who looks like she's just turned 1 year old, and so going through that, recent childbirth, divorce, healing in the public's eye, dealing with people judging her. She recently went to court with this girl that was trying to get money out of her, who claimed that Cardi B assaulted her even though she was recording her, and Cardi was like, I'm here for my doctor's appointment, get this camera out of my face. Like she was on the stand, we all got to watch her on the stand. Like it's been a lot of things, a lot of public things, a lot of pressurized things that she's had to deal with, co-parenting with a man that literally hates you and chooses every opportunity he has to humiliate you, to badmouth you, to basically bring like negativity to your name, to try to reduce your ability to make money for yourself so you can like depend on him. Just dealing with public opinion, and people are so judgmental of her. People have a lot to say. It seems when you're a girl who has either been a stripper or a girl who's ever been in a movie like Kim Kardashian, people just won't let you live. Like, I don't know what's going on in people's minds, but they seem to think that if a woman has ever participated in any type of work in that nature, that she doesn't deserve to have a life afterwards. Like, she doesn't deserve to get married, she doesn't deserve to have kids, she doesn't deserve to become a businesswoman, she doesn't deserve to become a rapper, like she doesn't deserve anything. It's like their mind won't allow them to see her as a full person who has a lot of skills. Yeah, she can be great on the pole, and she can also be a successful rapper, and she can also be a great mom and a wonderful wife. But for many people, when a woman or a girl, and I use the term girl, but these are women, when a woman has been in that kind of a situation, for whatever reason, her humanity is denied to her. Like, she's not allowed to to be a normal person anymore. She's not allowed to have normal interests, and people can be very judgmental and very critical. Even though the reason why, you know, women end up stripping is clearly because they're struggling financially. I don't think women strip because they can't think of anything else to do. I think they do it because that's the only choice that they have. So she took the only choice that she had in that situation and made something better out of it. But some people still have very nasty things to say about her because of where she came from, as if it's her fault that she was born poor. The other thing is privacy. Like, people, when you become a celebrity, people don't want to see you as a human being anymore. They almost feel like you don't deserve privacy because you're a celebrity. So trying to deal with all of that, with Offset, with babies and a new baby and a current pregnancy, it's a lot. You know, I wonder if she's really taking care of herself emotionally. I certainly hope so. Because I'm suspecting that whatever healing work that she hasn't done from that relationship with Offset is gonna bleed into this relationship with Stefon. The other thing is, Cardi B has spoken up about being vulnerable and about needing to feel safe and strong in her next relationship after Offset. And Diggs really seems to be more stable emotionally than her ex-husband, soon to be. You know, Stefon Diggs, I like that I don't know anything about him. I've never heard him speak. I don't know anything about him. I've only heard his name from her. I love that he's not an attention-seeking person. You know, I love that his identity isn't the fact that he's dating Cardi B, that he has things going for himself outside of her, and that he's not interested, you know, like, he's not acting like he's using this relationship for clout. And I think that's very important for Cardi coming out of what she's coming out of. You know, he seems more emotionally grounded. And I've noticed a shift with her. She also seems more grounded in this relationship than she was with Offset. Other things is the overlapping of the paternity suit. So as you know, she's currently pregnant, and there's a paternity suit about him possibly having fathered that child that was born in April of 2025. So the media is talking about this. There's videos out there about this. So this is bringing her back in the spotlight again, you know, with some more drama and some more mess. And I'm sure that's stressful. Of course, Cardi, she's going to laugh it off to the bank. But it's still stressful that you have to deal with all this. Like, nobody wants to be pregnant with somebody and hear from the media on the news that the person you're pregnant by has another baby by a model who's claiming that he's the father. Like, nobody wants to deal with these types of things when they're pregnant. You know, they're trying to focus on themselves and their baby, not focusing on, you know, the baby that this man may have with somebody else that wants him to claim it. And now, like, she has to worry about if they're going to be together long term. This is somebody else she's going to have to build a relationship with, another woman, another child. And she already did that with Offset, but it's just unfortunate that she's being put back into that role all over again. So these are some of the things that are going on with the relationship that may make it challenging. So that's basically the history of Cardi B's relationship with Stefon Diggs. What do you think of that kind of history and diving into, like, getting pregnant right away, you know, from the history that she's had? Do you think that's going to create issues for her down the line? Or do you feel like all the trauma that she's been through has made her more than ready to be able to handle whatever comes from this relationship with Stefon? What do you think? Leave your comments. And as you're doing that, I'm going to go ahead and transition to do their astrology love reading. Okay, you ready for the sinister reading? So I've already gone ahead and pulled up their chart. And we're going to get into that. Let's see. So, all right. Now, you guys are just sticking around for the astrology love reading. If you wouldn't mind tapping on the screen just to keep it going, I'll help you out a little some. I just don't want to get kicked out. Thank you for doing that. So let's get into the astrology chart reading for Stefon Diggs and Cardi B. I'm gonna go ahead and read some of their placements, and then after that, I'll talk a little bit more about their compatibility. I'm gonna try to keep this within a 20 to 30 minute range, so it's not too long. So we should be done here by 1 p.m. Central Time. or 1:10 Central Time at the latest. Okay, so let me pull it up here so I can read it to you. So Cardi is a Libra sun, Stefon is a Sagittarius sun. Now keep in mind Offset is also a Sagittarius sun, so it's fair to say that Cardi B is addicted to Sagittarius men, because she's literally still going through a divorce from a Sagittarius man and is currently pregnant by another Sagittarius man. I think this is her weakness. Now let me see where she has Sagittarius in her chart so I could see what this is really about. Oh, it's her North Node. Okay, it's her North Node. So I knew there was a spiritual significance, because a baby is always spiritual. Okay, a baby is always spiritual. That's God saying, I need this person to come to earth. You know, the circumstances are irrelevant, but yeah, a baby is always spiritual. So her North Node. In astrology, if you want to bring yourself into spiritual alignment, the best thing you can do is date somebody who has your North Node at their sun sign. Did you hear me? So date someone who has your North Node sun sign at their sun sign placement. So if your North Node is in Aries, date an Aries sun. If your North Node is in Gemini, date a Gemini sun. If your North Node is in Cancer, date a Cancer sun. Somebody who has their sun sign at your North Node is going to easily and naturally bring you into spiritual alignment, because the way that you're supposed to go is what comes naturally to them. And I don't know if Cardi B has an astrologer, because she has nailed this, you know, from being married to Offset and now being married to having a baby with Stefon. And he's also a Sagittarius sun. Okay, very good. Now moving on to their moon placement. Cardi B's an Aries moon. He's a Gemini moon. Aries and Gemini are highly compatible, so this is a great match for them. And Sagittarius and Libra are also highly compatible. The issues that she had with Offset were not about his Zodiac sign, they were about his karma and her karma. Now, I know for a fact she didn't have an astrologer when she got with that man, because when you take a look at their chart, you can clearly see that they're karmics, and that this was going to be about learning tough lessons and less about feeling loved. And that's all it's been when you think about it, learning tough lessons, because he cheated on her so many times and she was like fighting with herself. Oh, we're talking about Cardi B and Offset for the person that just joined. She was fighting with herself with, you know, battling her traditional family background, which says no matter what, marriage is for life, so you got to stay together. And then fighting her own feelings of feeling betrayed, feeling disrespected, you know, feeling dishonored as the wife and all this and that and the other. So she had to go through that. Offset literally came to like break her from that programming so she can get into what's real. And it sounds like now she's there, because Aries and Gemini are both like the most rebellious zodiac signs in astrology, so they're perfect together. Moving on to Mercury. His Mercury's in Scorpio and hers is in Scorpio. Now I know why I've never heard him speak. Mercury and Scorpio people, when they're evolved, they don't talk. They hardly ever speak, and they shouldn't talk very much, because these are people whose words carry weapons. These are people whose words burn through situations and souls very fast. People don't like to hear them speak, because the truth that they speak is unnerving. So they have the same Mercury placement, so they both speak the same language, which is the language of what's not spoken. Mercury in Scorpio is highly intuitive. They know what needs to be said before they open their mouth. You know, they're very good at picking up on the vibe without people explaining things to them. So she definitely met her match with that, with this energy. Moving on to Venus. Her Venus is in Scorpio and his Venus is in Scorpio. Oh, very interesting. So he's the male version of Cardi B. Man, this is about to get good. I haven't looked at this chart before this moment, so I'm very fascinated with these discoveries. Okay, so that makes me a little concerned, because typically having the same Venus sign with somebody means karma, okay? But we're not going to jump the gun. But I do want to make that clear, that having the same Venus placement with your love interest is not a good sign. It's usually not a, oh my God, we have the same placement, that's so cool. No, it's usually about tough lessons that you have to learn about love that you haven't learned. So the two of you get to practice that together. Moving on to Mars. Mars is how we love. It's our creativity. Hers is in Cancer and his is in Sagittarius. This is where they're going to run into issues because Mars is also sexual chemistry. You know, for a lot of couples, this is kind of what binds them together whenever they go through issues, because the intimate nature of romance is what sets, you know, a romantic relationship apart from like a friendship. So it's interesting because Sagittarius and Cancer are not compatible, but if they're willing to do the work, they actually expand each other and make each other better. Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter, the planet of luck, and Cancer is exalted at Jupiter, the planet of luck. So if they're willing to fight fair and communicate honestly, which is another thing that Mercury and Scorpio struggles with, you know, they tend to be, you know, a little secretive with their language. They tend to keep a lot of secrets. They tend to be a little on the dishonest side of things, of life. So if they can learn to work through that, they can actually bring a lot of money to themselves through their creativity. Moving on to Jupiter. Jupiter again is a planet of luck and abundance. Hers is in Libra, so she has both Venus and Jupiter at that placement. And his is in Scorpio. Scorpio and Libra, not necessarily compatible. So that could be a little challenge because Libra wants bigger, better, brighter, more cute, more showy, more bright, and Scorpio wants more reserved, more hidden, more controlled. You know, like the way that Cardi lives, that may make him feel uncomfortable because, you know, Scorpio likes to hide and Libra likes to be seen. So we'll wait to see how that plays out. I mean, there's a reason why a lot of us don't know very much about him. It's by design. You know, he's never really wanted to be out there, but her life choices, her work requires her to be out there. So let's hope he's ready to navigate that. Moving on to Saturn. Now, Saturn is a planet of karma in astrology. She has hers in Aquarius and he has his in Aquarius. Well, guys, case closed. This is a karmic couple. This is a karma relationship. 1 second. Well, guys, case closed. This is a karmic couple. This is a karma relationship. 1 second. Hey guys, thanks for hanging on with me while I went away there and came back. So I need you to know, you've heard it here first, this is a karmic relationship. What Cardi B and Stefon share is a karmic relationship. You know, I know this because they have the same Venus and they have the same Saturn. Saturn is a planet of karma in astrology. And what makes this extra karmic energy is because at their karma placement, they have a karmic zodiac sign, which is Aquarius. Aquarius is ruled by Saturn, okay? Aquarius is ruled by Saturn, the planet of karma. So having a karmic zodiac sign at the placement of karma speaks to this being a karmic relationship. Oh, and he gets it does. Let me find my words. I want to say nice things. I want to say nice things. I want to say nice things. Okay. And it gets more challenging. How about that? It gets more challenging because the karma doesn't just stop there. Uranus, the planet of progress, is in Capricorn. They both have their Uranus in Capricorn. Neptune, the planet of dreams, is in Capricorn. They both have their Neptune in Capricorn. Pluto, the planet of Scorpio, the planet of transformation, is in Scorpio. They both have their Pluto in Scorpio. When you share the same Venus, the same Saturn, and the same Pluto with somebody else, that is definitely a karmic relationship. that relationship is a relationship that you've had in previous lives, a relationship that didn't go very well in previous lives. It's an opportunity for you to replay through some of these themes and learn some lessons. Karmic relationships are often very painful because they're full of tough lessons that you have to learn. Think about Cardi B's relationship with Offset. Full of tough lessons that they both had to learn. And very painful, you know, like even the fact that they're still going through this divorce. You know, they have a child together that's a year old and they're still going through the divorce. And while the divorce is going on, she's already pregnant by somebody else and moving on. Like, I'm sure he has feelings about that too. So this is going to be another lesson for Cardi B, unfortunately. And I hope that the lesson isn't about, you know what? I know what the lesson is about. The lesson is about slowing down, reading the fine prints, and stop trying to make people into something that they're not. Uranus, the planet of progress, having that at Capricorn, means that in order for this relationship to work, these two have to become much more traditional than how they're living right now. They have to become much more traditional with how they approach relationships. But the fact that they got pregnant while she was still going through this divorce obviously shows that they're not very traditional people. The other thing that's interesting about their chart is that they both have a similar North Node, which is in Sagittarius. Your North Node tells you which direction you need to be going. When people have their North Node at the same placement as their Sun sign, they get an advantage with being able to make their dreams come true. Stefon Diggs is not here to be a married type of guy. He's here to actually be single. Like, he's here to like date women but not marry them. Like, he's not a let's get married, let's start a family together type of guy. And Cardi B is also here for a similar reason. She's not here to be somebody's wife. I think the reason why she got into that with Offset is because of her background, you know, her conditioning, her home training, you know, being Caribbean, Afro-Caribbean, you know, her parents still being married. Like, when you come from a two-parent household, you have a very strange relationship with divorce. Like, you don't even think of it as a possibility. And that's how you end up in a marriage where somebody's cheating on you a million times and you still stay, is because you were raised in a home where people stay together no matter what. And when you're a free spirit, a person that's not supposed to be a wife or to be traditional, to get married, you know, it can be hard to survive in that kind of an environment. So even though Offset was not very kind to Cardi, what he taught her is that she could do it on her own. That's what she didn't know. He taught her that she didn't need a man. And now she knows that. So Stefon is not going to want to get married. And I don't know if Cardi wants to get married again because she's a Libra. I suspect that she might, because she also has her Jupiter in Libra. Libras love to get married, okay? Libras love the idea of getting married. They do. Like, they may deny it, but they do. Libras don't like to be alone. Libras don't know how to be independent. Libras don't know how to be free. Libras don't know how to make their own way without a group around them, without somebody else that they can latch on to. You know, they hate being in a relationship because they don't know how to not lose themselves in relationship. Oftentimes when they get in a relationship, they lose their identity, they lose their self-esteem, they give up everything. And that's primarily because they don't know how to be independent. When a woman knows how to be alone and she's confident being alone, she can be in a relationship without losing herself. But when she's uncomfortable being alone and doesn't know how to be alone, she cannot be in a relationship without losing herself. Because when the relationship comes, she wants to give her all. And that's what she did with Offset, including her self-respect. You know, like, that's really what I know she regrets the most. And that's why she's so angry, because she realized, like, oh, I played myself. Like, I played myself with someone who's not even of my caliber, you know? Rochelle said, yes, my parents are Haitian and they don't do divorce even if the relationship is bad. See? Yeah, a lot of people are raised like that. Afro-Caribbean, raised like that. A lot of Africans are that way too. A lot of people from brown backgrounds are that way too. Indians, you know, Asians, Africans, you know, Caribbeans. You know, it's very traditional, very rooted in patriarchy. As the woman, you're supposed to put up with whatever the man gives, all of that good stuff, all of that toxic stuff, I should say. So Offset came really to free her from that, because Sagittarius doesn't play by the rules. Sagittarius does what they want. When your North Node is in Sagittarius, you're here to be independent. You're here to be an independent thinker. You're here to live freely. You're here to give yourself, to really give yourself the freedom to be and to exist in a world free from, you know, the programming. You're aware of the programming and you deliberately choose to do what you want to do, which is what agrees with you. All Sagittarians are here to do what they want to do, not what society says that they should do. So as long as these two can bring their Mercury in Scorpio together and speak honestly about what they really want, I think this relationship could work, because if they're being honest, none of them want to be married and none of them want to live a traditional life. The other thing, her Lilith is in Aquarius. Again, Aquarius is one of the most rebellious zodiac signs. His Lilith is in Aries. Aries is one of the most rebellious zodiac signs. So when even looking at their Lilith energy, which is the energy that you're most rejected and celebrated for, you know, these two do not want tradition. Aries and Aquarius are very much so anti-tradition. It does not get more anti-tradition than Aries and Aquarius. So again, assuming they're honest with each other about what they really want, this could work, because they don't want tradition, because she's tried tradition already and it didn't work for her, because tradition feels like a cage when your North Node is in Sagittarius and your Lilith is in Aries or Aquarius. Moving on to their Chiron. Chiron is where you have your deepest wound. Hers is in Leo and his is in Virgo. So there might be a little bit of tension there if they haven't done all of their healing. But Virgo Chiron, when unhealed, can be very judgmental about what's appropriate and what's not appropriate. You guys know Virgos have a lot of ideas about things. You know, Virgo is very critical as a zodiac sign in general. But when it's sitting at Chiron, it really brings forth a lot of wounds around not feeling worthy of love, not feeling deserving of love, and feeling like you can make mistakes, and feeling as though when you make mistakes you shouldn't deserve good things. And unfortunately for Virgo, oftentimes that energy gets turned around, where it gets projected outward. As an example, if I have an unhealed Chiron in Virgo, I could have low self-esteem issues stemming from not feeling like my body is where I want it to be, my teeth are where I want them to be, my hair is where I want it to be, my weight is where I want it to be, my accomplishments are where I want them to be, and I could have a lot of insecurities about that. But because I'm so deeply drowning in shame around my insecurities, around all those things, and I'm so in denial about it, because obviously my self-esteem is very fragile, which is why I'm insecure. I don't even allow myself to get deeply into the awareness of all of that pain. So what I do then is I turn around and I project that onto other people. I become very judgmental of everybody. You're not good enough. 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 Because when I do that, I at least get to feel a little bit powerful. Like I still know what the standard is, even though I'm not living up to it. At least I'm aware of what the standard is, as opposed to feeling like very worthless, very disempowered, very judged. So because I judge myself, I judge other people. Cardi B has gone through so much abuse in her past relationship that I doubt she's going to be open to being in a relationship with somebody that has unhealed Chiron in Virgo energy, because all those people are going to do is nitpick you to death. Now, I'm not saying that this is how Stefon is. I don't know that man. Again, I've never heard him speak. I'm just speaking about that placement when it's unhealed. Now for her, Leo unhealed is somebody that's very theatrical, very dramatic, someone that wants attention all the time, but doesn't actually use the attention to make other people feel good. I see that she's working through that, and part of her spiritual calling through that was fame. you know, God gave her fame so she could work through this, because she actually doesn't like being famous. She actually doesn't like being looked at, being seen. She doesn't like that a lot of people's opinions of her get to her. This is Leo energy. Like, Leo wants to be celebrated, but Leo is also very sensitive to other people's perception of them. They actually do care. Remember, Leo rules the heart, so they're very sensitive souls. So when people say nasty and mean things about her and her kids, it really hurts her to the core of her soul. And that's the part of fame that she hates. It's not that she doesn't like performing, but being famous means everybody gets to speak about you like something at the supermarket. Like something they just picked up off a shelf. Like, oh, what a beautiful bottle. I like the color. No, I don't like the color. I think it needs to be smaller. No, I want it to be red. No, I want it to be pink. Like, you're not a person anymore. These people treat you like you're an object, and they talk about you like you're an object, and they do things, you know, online that they would never do in real life, and they talk about you in ways that would never speak to you in real life. So she struggles with that, you know, with a lot of that, especially because she has an Aries moon. Aries moon is by nature very protective. They're also very like eager to fight. Aries moon doesn't like to take any mess. They like to get physical whenever their feelings get hurt. But when you're famous, you can't fight people. You can't fight everybody, and you can't fight people on the internet. So she has a lot of work to do around that, and I can tell she's working on it. And she's staying focused with like what benefits her in fame, which I think is important ultimately. So those are their main placements. I don't know their times of birth, so I can't get into their actual chart. But the fact that these two have the same South Node, you know, which is Gemini, speaks to a previous love relationship where there were a lot of lies, a lot of treacherous behavior, a lot of manipulation, a lot of secrets. So they definitely are here to work through some issues regarding past relationships. So they've done this before, and in the past there were a lot of lies, and it didn't work out because of the lies. Let's see where they have Gemini in their charts now, so I can find out what the issues were. So South Node Gemini, let's see. Does Cardi have any Gemini placements? No, she does not. So it sounds like this is primarily for Stefon. He is the one being gifted with an opportunity to work on this. Oh, money and resources. Okay. So if I'm Cardi B, you need to keep your money away from Stefon. No offense to you, Stefon. Again, I do not know you, and I don't know either of you. But based on the astrology natal chart, what happened in previous lives is he stole money from her. He stole money from her, and he lied about his money. He lied about his net worth. He might be into gambling. He might be into gambling, and he might be into, you know, making like decisions that are based in pleasure as opposed to thinking long term about financial stability. That's what the two of them are here to work on, like building financial stability that outlasts them. But he might be into gambling. He might be into having fun with his money. So he might not be the most honest about his money and his resources, or he was not the most honest about that in previous lives. So I hope it's different now, but this is what happened before. What happened before is he lied about his money, and he got her in financial problems because of his behavior and his lies about how he was using his money. So my advice is that they keep their money separated regardless of what happens with this relationship, especially because she's worth 101.6 million and he's worth 60. My advice is they keep their money separated, and if Cardi ever talks him into the whole marriage thing, since she has Sun Libra, Jupiter Libra, she may very well want to do the marriage thing again, although I do not recommend it. Cardi, I don't recommend it because there's nothing about your chart that says that this is what you're good at, this is what you're here for. I think you would thrive best in an unconventional relationship that looks like a marriage, but that isn't technically a marriage, like the kind that Oprah has with Stedman. That's the kind of relationship that will work well for you, Cardi. But you trying to do the picket fence and the 2 kids, like, that's not gonna work for you. So just watch your money, And make sure you keep your finances separated, because that's what happened last time. You was lying around money and lying about level of investment in the relationship. Now, I'm going to go through their Venus placements, and that's the last thing we're going to talk about. Rochelle said, I can see that. What questions do you guys have for me about anything that I've talked about so far before I go on to their Venus analysis? And that's going to be the last thing we talk about today. Yeah, Cardi is very, like, Aries moon, when they love you, they give too much, you know? And they often get taken advantage of in relationships for this reason, because they're too loyal. Their loyalty knows no end. And they think other people are as loyal as them, and they're hardly ever. You know, there's a certain naivety to Aries placements where they're just like, trust the moment, they trust the vibe, and they do what feels right in the moment, you know. And they don't understand that people have ulterior motives. You know, people have scammer mentality, and people are trying to get things out of them, and people are not as sincere and honest, and people embellish things, and people speak in hyperbole, and people, you know, expend things more than they need to, and people make moves to get things out of them. They're not very, like, conscientious of the deceptive and darker aspects of the human psyche. They tend to be very trusting. Like, when they trust you, that's it. They trust you. And, you know, which makes sense, because Aries is the first level of the cardinal signs, the leaders. You know, leaders want to trust their people. But, you know, what Capricorn knows is that not everyone deserves to be trusted. And even when you trust somebody, you still need to check to make sure you still trust them. Every day, and Aries oftentimes does not do that. So that's the main thing that she needs to be watching out for. Now, with their Saturn, I think as long as they keep a friendship, that's really what they were brought together for them to learn how to be friends and co-parent. As long as they keep the friendship alive and they treat each other how they want to be treated, I don't think they're going to have any problems. But if they try to force each other into, like, romantic roles or standard relationship stuff, it's going to be a problem. Okay, so Rochelle said, can you have the same element in Venus with someone? Yes, is preferred, just not the same zodiac sign. The same zodiac sign usually means karma, especially. It's not just in that one placement. So you have to understand this is a comprehensive picture, right? So it's, if you share the same zodiac sign with that person, you share the same Saturn, you share the same Pluto, you share the same South Node. When you have these four things, 100% karmic relationship. Usually people will have 2 or 3 of those things, but in the case of Cardi and Stefon, they have 4 of them. Usually in karmic relationships, if it's gonna work, these people are gonna do a complete 180 with their lifestyle so they can make the relationship work, or it's gonna crash and burn. Nothing in between, because either way you're learning very tough lessons. I'll give you another example of a karmic relationship reading that I did is Timothée Chalamet and Kylie Jenner. So when Carly started dating him, it was coming out of dating Travis, you know, and I'm not sure if you've noticed, but Kylie Jenner used to be way more visible in the public eye. She used to be way more in the streets, way more seen. But now I don't hear her anymore. I don't see her very much since she started dating him. Why? Because he's a Capricorn and she's a Leo. You know, Leos that like to be seen, they like to be out and about. But when you're dating a Capricorn, you're going to have to get on their program, because the Capricorn is never getting on your program. And the Capricorn program is quiet. It's in the shadows. It's slow and steady. You know, it's private. So I'm not sure if you've noticed, but ever since she broke up with Travis, she has like stepped out of this like high Leo energy into this like more conservative energy, which is more Capricorn energy, and you don't see her very much, and that's why they're still together. Now, has she stayed the way she was before, like posting everything, being everywhere, wanting to be seen? They probably wouldn't be together, because Capricorn can't keep up with the stamina of Leo. It's not their speed, okay? So someone else asked, what could a South Node in Leo look like for her instead of Chiron in Leo versus North Node in Sag? I'm not sure what you mean by that. Maybe you can ask me another way. Someone is asking about their moon placement. Well, this is a reading of Cardi B and Stefon Diggs, so I can't really speak about anything else. So that person followed up to say, I see the South Node in Gemini, him not being honest about how invested he is in her. Exactly. That's the thing. He has a childlike energy, which probably is attractive and a nice break for her. Very nice. Yeah, I don't know anything about him. Honestly, I've never seen him. I've never heard him speak, so I don't know. But that would track because he has Sagittarius at the Sun, Sagittarius Mars, and Sagittarius North Node. So he has a lot of Sagittarius energy. Sagittarius is very childlike. They're very fun, very free-spirited, very outgoing. You know, Gemini and Sagittarius are very similar in the sense that they both rule information. Sagittarius is a higher mind and Gemini is a lower mind. You know, Gemini purposely lies by manipulating information to have a specific outcome put out there because they love to see how people react to false information. That's the insidious part of Gemini. And Sagittarius lies by exaggerating information and putting it out there just to make it more entertaining. And that is the insidious part of Sagittarius. So when it comes to information, both Sagittarius and Gemini struggle. For Sagittarius, it's more like, oh, I'm going to make this story a little bit more fun for you so you're entertained. And for Gemini, it's, I'm going to manipulate this data and give you false information to see how you react to me trying to con you out of the truth. So him having, again, South Node in Gemini really speaks to like dishonesty and manipulating information and being, not having ethics, not having morality, doing things because they're fun as opposed to doing them because they're true. And then Sagittarius, again, is here to learn how to be wise. Being wise isn't just about having like a bunch of knowledge in the head. It's about applying knowledge so that you can make your life better and the life of the people around you better. So again, I don't know much about this man, so I don't know where he is in his soul's evolution. But from what I'm seeing here, that's the main issue. Fun is great, but when you're a father, and in her case, a mother of now potentially 4 children, you know, you can still have fun, but you need some guidelines, some parameters, because you still have to wake up tomorrow to take care of your kids. You got to give them breakfast. You got to brush your teeth. You got to get them dressed. You got to get them to daycare, get them to school, wherever they need to go. You got to do their homework. You know, you got to read to them at night. You got to put them, like, there's a lot of responsibilities that come with being a mother of multiple children, especially 3. So, and, you know, he's about to, you know, he's doing the paternity test on the second one. You know, so if they're going to be together, they may end up having 6 kids. You know, there is a level of maturity that is required when you have that many children to care for. So manipulation, lies, childish games is not going to cut it. It's going to have to be serious and responsible. And that's the only way this is going to work. Rochelle added, Sagittarius is definitely childlike. I have a Sagittarius Venus and I work with children. I love that. Very good. Yeah, I'm a Sagittarius stellium and I love working with children when I worked as a therapist. And I love being a mom because, you know, being a mom brings out my childlike nature. All right, so that was this. That was that. Now let's go into their Venus placements and we're going to wrap it up here. So Venus and Scorpio, Venus and Scorpio. This is a good aspect in the sense that they understand each other. And there's a lot of harmony here, but the darkness of having the same Venus is that if you're not aware of your shadow, all you do is project your shadows onto each other, which isn't really healthy. You know, both are controlling, both are manipulative, both are demanding, both are jealous, both are like highly sexual, both are prone to drama in relationship, both are very loyal though, and both are chaotic. But if they're not aware of that, they're gonna try to project that onto the other person. Like, oh, you're the one that's making drama. It's like, no, you both are. You both are, and that's okay. You know, learn to love each other for who you are and not who you want to be. She also has her Venus in Scorpio, and he has his Pluto in Scorpio. So this relationship is definitely going to bring to light her past traumas. You know, it's also going to bring new life into her physically because he gave her a baby. There's a baby she's carrying. What I like about their connection though, when your Venus is at somebody else's Pluto, this person is going to bring you a lot of healing, a lot of rejuvenation, a lot of transcendence, a lot of renewal of spirit. You know, the harsh way that Offset was treating her while they were going through the divorce is very different from the soft way that, you know, Stefon is treating her. And she really needed that. So that's another good thing that's going for them. Her Pluto in Scorpio is also matching with this Venus in Scorpio, so same energy here. They give each other like tenderness, they give each other kindness and love. Her Venus in Scorpio is sextile Uranus in Capricorn, so there's a lot of desire here to bring stability to the relationship. The relationship can feel both exciting and controlling and boring at the same time, you know, because, you know, Uranus in Capricorn is the type of progress that brings you back to the basics, because Capricorn is all about doing away with the fluff so we can stick to what works. We can stick to the foundation. So generally Aquarius is very into progress, you know, into rebellion for the sake of like what's progressive. But in the case of Cardi B and Stefon Diggs, what's progressive is for them to actually do the traditional thing, you know? It's for them to go backwards in time. It's for them to slow down the pace of the relationship. It's for them to actually build a solid friendship, a solid partnership. And I think their playful nature is going to make room for that. Her Venus in Scorpio and his Neptune in Capricorn really speaks to them being able to make each other's dreams come true. Again, if they're willing to do that work of getting to know each other first as friends, building a meaningful friendship connection, of building loyalty, because that's the other thing Scorpio and Capricorn both value is loyalty. This is like superpower type couple energy with these two. The main thing is being honest, being open about their sexual needs, and not trying to control each other. If they can do that, I think they'll succeed. Her Venus in Scorpio is square his Saturn, and that's where they're gonna run into some issues, because again, this is a karmic relationship. Karma means lessons, and karma means balance, and usually karmic relationships bring with them a coldness, a sobering aspect of awareness for the sake of getting you to really see yourself clearly for the first time. It's possible she's going to realize that some of the issues that she had with Offset in that marriage were issues that she had with herself. You know, there's nothing like switching partners and seeing same issues that you had with that last one with the new one, and then you have to ask yourself, well, what's a common denominator? If you guys wouldn't mind tapping on the screen while we're going here, I would really appreciate it. You have to ask yourself what's a common denominator, and then you realize that common denominator is you. It's you. So that's not to say Offset doesn't have his flaws, but you know, when a relationship doesn't work, it's hardly ever because one person is in the wrong. Usually it's because two people are not giving each other what they need, because two flawed people are not willing to work on themselves, and two flawed people are not willing to come together to figure out how to give and take. That's usually why relationships end. So this relationship with him is going to be serving her karma. Because he's Saturn in Aquarius and her Saturn in Aquarius, it's like they can either be their own worst enemy by ruining this for the both of them, or they can step into the freedom of thought needed to make this work and play the game to get what they want out of it and have each other's best interests at heart. Because this is a ride or die type of connection that they have. If they play this right, they can be like best friends for life. For life. Regardless of whether they still love each other that way or not. Like Will and Jada type of energy. That's what this is giving. Okay? And I don't mean any of the negativity. I mean like the fact that you always have this person in your corner. Okay? Now lastly, her Jupiter in Libra is sextile his Venus in Scorpio. So between the two of them, if they can make collaboration the norm, cooperation the norm, unconditional love the norm, if they can make progress the norm, if they can make a free mindset the norm, if they can make expansion of consciousness the norm, I think this relationship can definitely go the distance. So let's summarize. Cardi and Offset were a karmic relationship. Cardi and Stefon are a karmic relationship. Cardi being a Libra, she is attracted to people that are different from her. She keeps dating boys that are on the East Coast. that are not from the Bronx, that are not from the hood. And that's a Libra thing. They're generally attracted to people that are very different from them. But the point of that connection is for her to learn how to advocate for herself, advocate for her needs, how to get her needs met in that partnership, and how to negotiate her needs in that partnership. So whatever she can do with Offset, I hope she's learned and she can finally deliver that, with Stefon. I see this being a good friendship, and I see the two of them being very loyal to each other and growing together in love over time and in friendship, which is really the most important thing here. These two need to be able to be friends, because if they're not able to be friends, none of this is gonna work. This is really like a partner of crime for life type energy. That's what this is. If they do this right, they're just going to be laughing until old age at all like the stupidity that comes along with this ride that they're about to be on. As long as they're willing to keep talking and keep being honest with each other emotionally, the sky's the limit. So that is my reading for Cardi B and Stefon Diggs. Thanks so much for coming to hang out with me for this astrology reading. I look forward to reconnecting with you next Saturday at noon, where we will continue talking about Lilith. Next Saturday at noon, I'll be talking about Lilith in Aries. We're going to continue to talk about how you can utilize Lilith basically to empower yourself in your manifestations. If you enjoy this reading, let me know, and let me know what do you think. Let me know what do you think about Cardi and Stefon Diggs' relationship. Do you see it working out? Do you think it's not going to work out? What are your thoughts? You can share that with me. I will go ahead and have this up for you guys on YouTube, so you can go and check it out if you missed the beginning of this, and you can leave me comments there as well, okay? So Leo Aquarius has a question. This is the only question I'm going to take. Do you think dating and making friends as spiritually aware is harder or easier? Yikes, that's a good question. I don't think it is harder or easier. I think you become more choosy because you're more aware. Before I got on my healing journey, there were so many things that I was doing wrong, and that was inviting people in my energy that were not of my caliber, because I didn't have standards. I didn't have spiritual hygiene. I didn't have consciousness that I was acting out of. I knew the head knowledge, but I wasn't applying it. I wasn't making decisions with the knowledge that I have. So I was doing things to get myself caught up in situations that were not in my best interest. But now that I'm in this space, I use the information. So again, that's the difference between knowledge and wisdom. Knowledge is in the head. Wisdom is I use what I know to be true. So I'm a lot more choosy, and I know a lot of people are not aware of who they are, what they want. A lot of people are not committed to healing, to working on themselves. A lot of people would rather project their issues outward as opposed to working on themselves. And I don't take it personally. I just choose not to associate myself with people that are not at the same level of awareness as me when it comes to my personal life, because I have no desire to be working when I'm off the clock. So that's basically it. Harder or easier? I don't know if I think about it that way, but I think it's conscious or unconscious. More choosy, more conscious, more aware. So, you have more meaningful connections and less general connections for the sake of having connections. Thank you. That was a beautiful question. All right, guys, I appreciate you coming to hang out with me. Have a good rest of your day. Have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you next Saturday at noon. Bye. Take care of yourselves.
You can book your astrology reading at intuitivehealing.com. You can also watch videos at Intuitive Healing here on YouTube for Astrology 101 content. Listen to the Aquarius podcast on Spotify, as well as here on YouTube for your horoscope. If you're interested in astrology and love connections, you can visit at Styled Under Libra. And of course, for health and wellness and holistic healing, visit at Styled Under Virgo for all of your astrology content. Thanks so much for watching.